Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something kind of cool today.
Yeah.
We're talking small backyards.
All right.
You know how it is, right? You look at that little patch of grass and you're like, well, there's not much I can do with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you almost feel like you just want to ignore it.
Mm.
But guess what? We're about to uncover some secrets about how to make that small space amazing.
Yeah, you really can.
So get ready, folks, because we're going deep. We're talking about turning those small backyards into some really cool outdoor living spaces.
Yeah, it's funny because you think you need a giant space
Right.
to have a beautiful, functional outdoor space, but that's just not true.
It's so true, and that's what we're going to dig into today. We actually have a case study about a homeowner who found this out kind of the hard way.
Okay.
So they weren't really happy with the initial design. It was just, kind of blah.
Basic.
Yeah, basic. It just didn't have any of those special design touches that
Yeah.
make a space really special.
Yeah, and a mistake people make a lot is approaching a small backyard design with the same mindset as like a big sprawling one.
Right.
And you end up with features that are just way oversized, like totally impractical. It's like,
Totally.
think about a dining room table, right? You wouldn't try to cram a 12-person table
Yeah.
into a tiny dining room, right?
No way.
It's all about kind of scaling back your design to fit the space.
Right. It's about making it make sense for what you got, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking now, how many times have we walked into a space where somebody's just crammed furniture in?
Oh, yeah.
And it feels so cramped.
Totally.
That is not what we want, right?
Nope.
In our backyard.
The opposite.
The opposite. Like,
Well,
we want to be relaxed. So
yeah.
how do we get away from that overstuffed feeling when space is limited? The article we were looking at mentioned something called transitional landings.
Mm.
What are those, and how do they actually make things flow better?
Okay. So it's this design element, right? And it can really make a huge difference.
Okay.
Basically, it's a buffer zone, right? Between your inside and outside space.
Okay.
Imagine you're walking out of your back door.
Yeah.
And you step onto a slightly raised platform, maybe just big enough for like a couple potted plants or, a small bench or something.
Gotcha.
It creates this kind of like visual and physical break. It kind of guides you into that outdoor space. So like in this case study, they used the landing to kind of create a pathway to the patio. So it's not just like this like jarring jump from indoors to outdoors.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So it's not just about how it looks, right? It's also how it works, how you actually use the space.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess a well-designed landing helps prevent accidents too, right?
Oh.
Especially when you're carrying like food and drinks.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because you have a stable place to like move from one to the other.
Yeah, designated spots.
Yeah.
So it makes it way more welcoming and functional.
Okay,
Mm.
I'm picturing this now. It's like you're, transitioning from your kitchen, right?
Uh-huh.
Out to this cozy little dining area in your backyard. Oh, I like it. And speaking of the dining area, this transformed backyard actually had a long, narrow patio,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The patio?
Yeah.
And they split it, cleverly, into two zones.
Smart.
One was for eating, one was for like a fire feature,
Oh, very nice.
which seems like a pretty great way to have it all. You can have people over, but you can also have your little quiet space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use like different materials too and different levels to create
Oh.
that sense of separation
Oh.
without walls.
So it's like two rooms.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Now, the fire feature thing really caught my eye. They put in an urban bonfire grill island, which we usually see, in bigger backyards.
Right.
So how did they make that work in such a small space?
Well, they did a lot of customization. They worked with Urban Bonfire to get a grill island with, specific features that fit the homeowner's needs and the space limitations. They picked a model that was, sleek and compact so it didn't like dominate the patio.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it proves you don't got to sacrifice luxury just because you've got a small yard.
Right. Yeah, you can still have those nice things. Now, what about landscaping?
Yeah.
Because in a small space, like every inch counts, right?
Oh, totally.
Did they even get any plants in there, or was it just like patio, patio, patio?
They did. They were strategic about it, though.
Oh.
So instead of having a big sprawling lawn, they went for like a smaller patch of grass kind of near the garage.
Yeah.
And this did like two things. It softened up the look of the patio, all that hard landscaping.
Yeah, yeah.
And it also kind of broke up the space so it didn't feel too crowded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So even in a small space, you can have a little bit of grass to, like, enjoy.
Totally. Yep.
Oh, that's nice. And they also changed out the old fence, right?
Right.
Or was that just for looks?
Well, it was smart, right? Because it looked good and it was functional.
Oh,
So
okay.
that new cedar fence, it gives them privacy
Uh-huh.
and it adds this kind of like natural warm feel to the design.
Oh, nice.
And it also acts as a backdrop for the landscaping. So it
Oh,
makes those plants and flowers stand out.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it reminds us that every little detail counts when you're designing a small space.
Wow. This has been eye-opening. I think it's really, like, changed how I look at what you can do with a small space. So, listeners, before you give up on your own little backyard, think about the possibilities, right?
Definitely.
Could you put in one of those transitional landings?
Yeah,
Would that help your space flow better?
maybe.
And what cool, unique features would actually make your backyard, your own personal spot to relax and hang out?
So true. And don't underestimate the power of really intentional design, even in tiny spaces. If you think about the scale, the function, and how it all flows together, you can make your small backyard a beautiful, personalized escape.
That is the perfect way to end this deep dive.
Awesome.
We'll see you next time.
See